And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to this live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session ahead of the United States Grand Prix, where once again, I can't believe I'm saying this, it is raining again for qualifying. As you can see, we're going to have normal wet weather for the for Q1, so we're going to see both the soft and harder compound of the normal wet tyres. And, well, no offence, I am getting a little bit bored of the rain, if I'm being honest with you, in this qualifying session. Why does GP4 have to do this all the time? But anyway, enough about the rain. I'm JW97, and once again, I am joined by Kurisu.
Hi everybody, good to see you again.
When will this rain go away, Kurisu?
Soon enough, I hope.
Hopefully, indeed. I mean, it looks like we could get into conditions towards the end, so hopefully it will ease off when we get to Q2, but we'll have to wait and see, really. But anyway, might as well ask your predictions here, Kurisu. Who do you believe will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying?
Both Aston Martins, both Williams, one McLaren and one Alfa Romeo.
Okay, for me, I'm going to say both Williamses, both McLarens, because they looked a little bit off in practice, and I'm going to say both Aston Martins as well. I think both Alfa Romeos can make it through into Q2. But anyway, about to get on the way. We are on the normal compound of wet tyres, but of course there is a soft and hard compound of normal wets. Let's not forget about that. The sky is actually bright, as you can see, so maybe it could clear up during the session to the point where we could see intermediate conditions. We'll have to wait and see on that. But Galloway is the first one to go out onto the racetrack as he makes his way down towards turn number 2 on the racetrack and then through into the S. He'll go through the left, right, and then into the left and double right. He will soon go on the racetrack now then. Coming out of that double right-hander he goes, and then into the left will go Jake Galloway in the Ferrari. 4 cars currently on track. David Cupop, Franco Lopez, Andre Verduri, and now Joseph Willows have joined Jake Galloway on the racetrack now then, as now Galloway just goes down the hill towards the hairpin now then, where we have seen a few incidents in the past in the OC with this corner. Hopefully we don't see too many of those this season, as Galloway now they're making his way down the back straight as the spray kicks off his tyres, as you can see there, whilst we're riding on board with Galloway, as he'll now make his way down towards the hairpin on the racetrack now then. Heading down towards this hairpin we go. Through the left-hander there goes Jake Galloway, as now he makes his way towards the double right-hander and then into the quadruple left-hander. He'll soon approach, as he'll be obviously taking it a lot slower than what he normally would do if it was obviously dry, of course. But all 22 cars, I think, are now out on the racetrack from the looks of it. As, yeah, all 22 cars are out, so Chris Chatfield will not get, Jake Galloway, won't get any traffic by the time he starts his lap. So, seeing as you're here, Kurisu, why don't you take us through a lap of this Circuit of the Americas track?
Yeah, sure, just give me a second. Here we go. Wait, hold on, just a moment. Alright, here we go. It's a long round down to turn 1, difficult braking zone as it is uphill. You can brake quite a lot later, and then you're gonna hit that apex nicely and get the best traction you can. Take some curb on exit for good measure. As you go for turn 2, normally flat in the dry, not exactly the case in the wet. Now the most fun section of the track, yes, is through the left and then the right, clipping the inside curb on the left, and then on the right once again, a double right-hander I might say. 20.3 in the first sector as you go through the left, up the crest, through the right-hander, and then into the left goes Galloway. Now we're gonna go down the hill with him, for the flat left-hander, and in towards the hairpin at turn 10 we go. Traction here is absolutely crucial onto this long back straight. And yeah, straight lane speed is always important at this section of track, of course. As Galloway is approaching turn 11, quite a difficult braking zone. Clipping the apex nicely on the throttle early. It's a 1 minute 3.6 I think in the middle sector as he goes through the right-hander, carrying the speed in, keeping the foot on the throttle partially. He's had a little bit of a moment earlier. It goes through the left-hander and then in towards the multiple apex right-hander. He's avoiding the apex in the wet condition, it looks like, at least the first apex. He's taken a lot of curb there as he goes through the left-hander. Careful track limits on the outside, of course, even in the wet. Only one corner remains, turn 21, and that was a smooth ride. That's a lap done for Jake Galloway. What time is it going to be? And where will he be at the end of the session? Galloway sets a 1 minute 43.2.
Yep, as Franco Lopez now then comes across the line, goes quickest, so he now goes to the top as expected. Now then, David Kupok now comes across the line, he goes into third position. Galloway only 2 tenths off per Franco Lopez, as I think I've just frozen a bit there. As
Yeah?
I don't know why I keep on having these issues, but Verderi now goes into fourth position as we now look at Joseph Willows in the McLaren, as he's now going to come across the line himself, and he goes into fifth position as Byrne actually goes fifth, and looks like he got held up there by Joseph Willows, so it looks like he's got more time to find. Third place for Michael Mocho, P7 for Galloway. Faldegasai made that P8 because Chatfield went to third, Mocho in fourth. Chung now then comes across the line to go into fifth position. Jesus Perin across the line goes into P5. Amar Khan now goes to the top by looks to be 8 tenths of a second. So a very good lap there for Amar Khan. Rahul Patel only 12th for him there on that occasion, so he's outside of that top 10. DeRosa P9. Here comes Quag as Patel went into Martins actually went to top 10. As Quag goes into third there, a good time for him there. Wilson crosses the line, goes behind Valdinger. As meanwhile, Roke is actually behind Byrne as well. So it looks like Roke has also got caught up in traffic. Kloss looks like he's also been caught up in traffic as well. Griffith goes in front of Wilson there. Gal goes in front of Patel there. As Sontag goes into last position. As I think that is all 22 cars now done then. In this now then, so at the moment Carr with a very, very good first lap there, 8 tenths quicker than teammate Lopez. That is some time there for Amar Carr.
Yeah, very impressive.
Very impressive lap from the Mercedes driver. Whether you can keep that up or not remains to be seen, but yeah, not exactly ideal for Red Bull. Both of them getting caught up in traffic there, Kurisu.
Yep, they'll be hoping they can have a better run next time.
Indeed so. Galloway now then back in the box he goes, as he'll be preparing to start another lap. Currently 4th place at the moment is Jake Galloway. Teammate Chris Chatfield currently in 5th place at the moment in the other Ferrari now then, as now we look at David Kupok in the Alpha Tauri, who's currently in 9th position, making his way back in the pits. Teammate Gal in 15th, but currently in the drop zone we have Bartosz Kloss, Ben Valdinger, Joseph Willows, Jamie Griffiths, Emilia Wilson and Felix Sontag currently in the drop zone as we speak at this stage, but all of them on the normal wets. Of course, let's not forget as well, there would have been some that would have been on the harder compound of the normal wet, some of them on the softer compound, so we'll have to wait and see if anybody switches compounds for that second run, of course, here at Kota. But yeah, that's that as Kupok now then will be preparing to go out on track a little bit later on in the Alpha Tauri. But yeah, that's that really, as they just go back into the garages now. Then we now look at Felix Sonto, who's coming back in very soon. Here comes Michael Mocho now then, who's just making his way into the garage now then. Same with that Alfa Romeo there, who's also just making their way into the garage as well. All 22 cars now into the pit lane, as so far the Red Bulls looking to try and improve, down in 13th and 14th at this stage at the moment. But yeah, it's a very interesting first laps. Martins, though, good effort for him in P11. DeRosa P10 at this stage as well. So good first laps for them. Whether they can stay there, there's going to be a question, because they are over 2 seconds off of Amar Khan, and you'd imagine that some of the guys behind them would have been on the harder compound of the normal wet. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that one kind of pans out there, as Miklos Gau is in pit lane. Here comes David Kupok now, then he's just coming out on track, his teammate, so he's not wasting any time and going out there for a second flying lap now. That's out on the pit lane. He will go. Nobody blinking to go on the Inters so far, even though there is no rain around and the track is quite, the skies are quite bright around here at this stage. So yeah, very interesting stuff at the moment, as once again my Discord is playing up. I have no idea what's going on today, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know why I'm having all these problems today. But anyway, as David Kupok now then just comes around the left-hander now, then he goes, and now making his way through into the right and left-hander now, then he will go. So through the left goes David Kupok, and now making his way down towards that left-hander he goes, as he's currently 2.1 seconds off a car at the moment. A few more cars have come out. Galloway's come out, Chatfield has come out, as has Andrea Verderi, and as has Joseph Willows. As just looking around, and it seems that Ra was the only one. In fact, there were 2 people that put a prediction in whilst all that was going on. So Dennis has said both Aston Martins, both Williamses, one Alfa Romeo and one Haas will get eliminated. And Now, Ra has said both Williamses and Aston, both Alfa Romeos and the Lambo. He's actually going quite bold. I guess they're both predicting it in terms of the wet conditions at this stage. So, yeah, that's pretty much that, really. But Kupok is about to start his lap very, very soon now. Then hopefully he doesn't get in traffic by the time he starts his lap, because there are, as you can see on the left-hand side, still some cars that are yet to make their way out on the racetrack. So through the quadruple right-hander there goes David Kupok in the AlphaTauri as he now makes his way into the final couple of corners. We will go as now making his way into the final corner. In fact, I think there may be actually some rain appearing on the screen there. It looked like there was a tiny bit of rain, but not a lot. There was a little bit of rain there, but not too much there at this stage. As now Kupok starts his lap as he goes down the straight. There is a car next to him, but luckily he just comes out in front of that Aston Martin, just about there. I thought for a minute they were going to make contact coming out of turn one, but thankfully they were able to avoid contact on that occasion. As Kupok now they're making his way through into the S's now then on the track, through the right, left, and then into the double right-hander now then we will go, as he's actually up on his personal best by nearly a tenth in the first sector. Let's see if he can keep that up though as he makes his way through the right and left-hander. Kupok currently in 9th position so far in this session. Whether he can improve on that remains to be seen. Of course, we did see that Galloway did make a mistake on his lap, of course, coming around the stadium section, so maybe there is still some time to be found for the Ferrari driver who's currently in 4th place in this session. Kupok coming out of the hairpin he goes, now making his way down the back straight in the AlphaTauri, now making his way down towards the semi-hairpin. We will go now then, as now making his way towards the left-hander. We will go as Kupok now then coming towards the end of that middle sector very, very soon. Let's see what the end of the middle sector is going to look like. 3 temps up, so he found quite a bit more in that middle sector, nearly 4 temps up to be exact. Let's see if he keeps it tidy through into this part of the track where Galloway, of course, made the mistake earlier on. No such problems for Kupok on this occasion. Comes out of the stadium part of the track now into the quadruple right-hander he goes as he gets the car through into this part of the track now, then through the quadruple part of the racetrack into the final couple of corners goes David Kupok in the AlphaTauri. He now makes his way down towards the final corner. Can he improve on his lap? Let's see. Through the final turn and onto the pit straight now, then we'll go David Kupok in the AlphaTauri with just under 7 minutes to go. David Kupok now then across the line. He will go, and he goes into 8th position, only gains a place on that occasion. Andre Verderi not up on his personal best. He's currently, where is he? Currently 12th for the moment, so he's currently in the top 16 threshold at the moment. So Verderi across the line, he will go, and he does not improve. Wilson just starting her lap. Here comes Jake Galloway in the Ferrari, making his way down the pit straight, and across the line now then. He will go in the Ferrari. He crosses the line now then, and he does not improve. Joseph Willows is currently up on his personal best, but I don't know if Chris Chatfield has possibly interfered with that lap at all. But so far, Chatfield is down on his personal best. Willows now then across the line. He will go in the McLaren, and he improves to go into 14th. He does actually get out of the drop zone as Lopez makes a mistake going into that final corner there. So
I have to mute myself for a minute.
Okay, as Lopez currently making a mistake there. He wasn't up on his personal best anyway, but still, a mistake into the final corner is not going to help him out at all. But yeah, as a result of that...
back.
That was very quick. Patel currently in the drop zone now as a result of Willows' improvement. Lopez across the line, no improvement. And oh, was there contact there between Valdinger and Bernard? Valdinger's lost a chunk of front wing there. That looked like there may have been some contact into the final corner just as Byrne was up on his personal best.
Yep, very bizarre.
Let's have a look, and no, there was no contact. It just looked like Valdinger got a little bit scared off there by Evan Byrne. That was a little bit interesting there, but Valdinger has got to come back into the pits for a new front wing as a result. Byrne improves, but only into 13th place. His lap got compromised there as a result of being at the back of Valdinger. Chong goes up into 3rd place meanwhile. Patel, no improving. He's still in the drop zone down in 17th place. He was up on his personal best in the first sector, but then lost it all in the last 2 sectors. Carr improves even further, and he's now 1.7 seconds quicker than Franco Lopez. So a big improvement there for Amar Carr in the Mercedes. Mocho goes up into 5th position, so an improvement there for him. As we now look at Miklos Gal in the AlphaTauri. He's got George Rote right behind at the moment as they come out of the final turn. Let's see if Rote could possibly get some slipstream out of Miklos Gal here. Both of them, well, Gal is just in the cusp of the top 16 threshold. He does improve, but Rote does. He goes up into 2nd, but he's still 1.5 seconds off of Amar Carr. Bartsch Kloss into the final corner. He comes in the house. I think he might have just had a bit of a wiggle coming out of that final corner there. But here comes Bartsch Kloss up on his personal best. Currently in the drop zone. Kloss now then across the line he goes, and he goes up into 14th position. Martins doesn't improve, nor does Quark. They stay where they are at the moment. Gal got put into the drop zone as a result of Kloss's improvement there. As Gal going into the drop zone. Now, it's Wilson across the line. She loses time in the last sector and doesn't improve. She was up in the first 2 sectors on her personal best, but loses time in the last sector and still down in the drop zone in 21st position. Jamie Griffiths now then across the line. He will go. He's currently in 20th place and he stays 20th. He's still in the drop zone at the moment now then. Lopez coming in. I think that's everybody done now then in terms of these runs. I think it is. Of course, Valdinger needs to pit for a new front wing, of course, after that little thing that happened at the final corner. But yeah, at the moment, Patel was not able to improve on that occasion, Kurisu. A little bit of trouble there for the Lamborghini drivers. He's currently in the drop zone. Same for Miklos Gal in the AlphaTauri.
Yep, that's quite unfortunate if I'm going to be honest.
Think they could possibly get out there and maybe improve?
It's definitely possible, just depends what the conditions are like.
Indeed, as well as gets pushed back into the garage. He's just in the cusp of the top 16 threshold. Both McLarens currently in that top 16 threshold at the moment after showing no pace in the dry in practice. So, yeah, that's that as now we wait for the next runs to happen now then. As the Lamborghini gets pushed back into the garage there, that being Laura Chung. Valdinger back in, and he'll obviously have a new front wing as a result of that. I didn't quite check who was actually left behind on that occasion when all of that was kicking off, so may need to look at that. It might have been Sontag, yes, okay, so Felix Sontag was the one that's left behind. He's 6.3 seconds off, so he's got 3.5 minutes to get himself out there if he wants to try and advance into Q2 or even try and improve. And as my Discord decides to not show you. I have no idea what's going on with my internet today. That's the about the umpteenth time that it's decided to go off there. So apologies for that. As Videri just goes into the first corner there, and he's just going to start his lap soon. He'll have one more lap to do, but at the moment he's currently in 13th, so he's currently safe at the moment in the Aston Martin as he just makes his way through into the S's now then. Anybody else going to join him on the track? Yes, Felix Sontag is coming out, so he's giving himself one more chance to try and get himself through into Q2 in this session, as Videri now they're making his way in towards the right and left-hander now. Then looks like it might be starting to cloud over a little bit in the sky, so the brightness maybe not is starting to disappear a little bit, but it's still not heavy conditions as you can see. Also on track we have David Kupak in the AlphaTauri. Sontag's still the only one in the drop zone who's gone out onto the racetrack, as we have just under 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go in this session now. Then you need to get out before the 1 minute 41 mark, otherwise you will not have a chance to try and improve, as Videri making his way down towards the semi-hairpin on the racetrack now then. As now Videri making his way towards the double right-hander. Valdinger has gone out on track, so he's giving himself one more chance. Willows has also gone out on track in the McLaren just to make sure he can get himself through into Q2. As we're at 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46 now, 45, 44, then 43, 42, and 41, and we're at 40. Patel just got out in time before he got to that 1 minute 41 threshold, but Gal, Griffiths, and Wilson haven't. So Gal is out in Q1 in the AlphaTauri. A big shot there. He's not going to make it through into Q2. Patel is potentially giving himself one more chance to try and advance into the second part of qualifying. But meanwhile, Videri is about to start his lap. Is there any traffic past he comes out? There is traffic just on the left-hand side there, and that looks like, is that a Haas that should come out on track there? Who's coming out of the pit lane there. Looks like it's blocked off Videri coming out of the first corner there. Not sure who that is, but either way, Videri has got traffic in front as a direct result, as Videri making his way through into the S's now, then through the left and then into the double right-hander. We will now go, and he's down on his personal best in the first sector as a result of that little hold up there from the Haas driver, as he now makes his way through into the right and left-hander on the racetrack. Through the right, then through into the left we will go. Videri making his way down towards the left-hander before approaching the hairpin onto the racetrack now then, as now making his way in towards this hairpin through into the left-hander will go Videri in the Aston Martin, just coming out of the turn, now making his way onto the back straight, and now 30 seconds left on the clock as we are coming towards the end of Q1 then here at Austin, Texas now, then heading down towards the semi-hairpin. Griffiths is the only one to be left behind, but he was already out anyway, along with Wilson and, of course, Miklos Gal. Only Patel Valdinger and Sontag are giving themselves a chance to try and get through into Q2. Downley's personal best again in the middle sector of his video, 3.7 seconds off of Armar Carr in that middle sector, but I think he might be safe, but we'll have to wait and see. Byrne is currently in 15th position at the moment. I don't know if he actually went out in time or not, but the checkered flag is now out, which signifies the end of Q1 now. Then Videri just coming around the quadruple right-hander now. Then there's Videri making his way through into the final couple of corners. He will go. Videri now then into the final corner and onto the pit straight now. Then we'll go Andre Videri in the Aston Martin as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and Videri now then comes across the line. This is not going to be an improvement. He crosses the line and no improvement. He stays in 30th position. Sontag improves but only into 17th, so he is out of qualifying as a result. You got a bit of slipstream there from Videri. Kupok up on his personal best, meanwhile in the AlphaTauri, as he's already through anyway, but let's see if he can further improve on his time now. So Kupok coming out of the final turn, onto the pit straight he goes, as the German driver now will make his way across the line in the AlphaTauri. Across the line he goes, and he goes up into 9th position there, so only really getting a place out of all of that. Chris Chatfield now then comes out of the final turn himself. He's already through anyway into Q2, but anyway, he now comes across the line now then in the Ferrari. Across the line he goes, and in fact he finds some time in the last sector and improves, but stays in 8th position. Valdinger, he's not up on his personal best, and he's currently in the drop zone as the Hungarian, so at the moment it looks like Valdinger is going to be out of qualifying if he doesn't find anything in this last sector. So Valdinger out of the final corner and onto the pit straight now then. He will go. Onto the pit straight he goes. Bence Valdinger across the line. He will go in the Alfa Romeo, and he does not improve, and he is out. He stays in 20th. Williams doesn't improve. He's still in 16th, so he's got to pray. He's on up. Brennan improves, but stays in 10th. Lopez improves, but he stays in 2nd position, but cuts the gap to Carr. As a result, Galloway crosses the line and goes up to 3rd, and improvement there for him. Patel, last chance for him to get through. He crosses the line, and he goes up into, that is 9th position. So Willows is out of qualifying. He's dropped down to 17th. Willows has been knocked out, and that is Q1 done with Armar Carr top, Franco Lopez 2nd, and Jake Galloway in 3rd. And your bottom 6 as a result are Joseph Willows, Felix Sontag, Miklos Gal, Bence Valdinger, Jamie Griffiths, and Amelia Wilson. So yeah, Patel leaving it quite late there, Kurisu.
Yep, but he got it in the end. So, and that's what's important.
That's indeed. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment while Shuey gets prepared for Q2. But in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your predictions on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But in the meantime, I'm just going to mute myself and get the tweet prepared for Twitter. So apologies if I go silent for a moment.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. You still there? Okay.
I am back, and
Okay.
so that's that really. So a very interesting qualifying, and as somebody pointed out, of course, also in the stream chat, Evan Byrne was very, very lucky to not get eliminated. He ended up in 16th in the end, and well, it just traffic was pretty much an issue for him, especially that scare he had with Bensveld Dinger in towards the final corner there. So Byrne very lucky to get through into Q2 there.
Yes, indeed. But he'll be very thankful now that it's happened.
Indeed so, and he'll hope that it won't happen again into Q2. We're about to get on the way, and it looks like we're going to have some lighter conditions going into Q2, because as you can see, it's going to look to be into conditions, and it might actually get drier towards the end. So hopefully we might actually have some dry running going into Q3. But without any further ado, let us get on with Q number 2 then here at Austin. Once Yuri is ready, of course, and.
I don't have a prediction, by the way.
Okay. About to go on the way for Q2 now then. So my prediction though for Q2, I'm going to say, as a result, both Aston Martins, because they both did make it through into Q2. I'm also going to say, De Rosa will get eliminated. I think, who else? I'm going to say a Lamborghini will get eliminated, I think. And I'm also going to say Q-Pot will get eliminated. And I'm also going to say, I'm going to go bold and say a Renault will get eliminated. That's my prediction. And as you can see, we are, as predicted, on the intermediate tyres. So we are going to be expecting some quicker running in this session. So that's pretty much that, really, as we get set for the second part of qualifying now then. And so that's that really, as Q-Pop's getting ready to go out onto the racetrack now then in the AlphaTauri, as now Q-Pop is getting ready to go, as he's going to be the first one out on the racetrack. So I might as well read people's predictions in the stream chat whilst we wait for things to get on the way. So Raj said both Astons, Cairo, a Ferrari, himself, so Rahul Patel, and a Red Bull. He's actually going bold and saying a Red Bull will get eliminated. As Hyan has said, a Ferrari, both Alpha... Well, it can't be both Alpha Towers because one of them's already been eliminated, Hyan. Gal's been eliminated already, so you'll have to change that one. So one Alpha Tower, I'll say for you then. One McLaren, one Red Bull, and one Mercedes. He's going quite bold on that one, but we'll just
quite
have to
aggressive.
Have to wait for that sixth one, really. But anyway, as Q-Pot now then just making his way around the S's now then on the racetrack, as he will now make his way towards the left-hander, and now making his way towards the right and left-hander, we will go on the racetrack. As you can see, the skies have got a little bit more brighter than what they did in Q1. I mean, they were bright already in Q1, but they've got a little bit more brighter going into Q2 now then. As 12 cars on track, and as you can see, there is actually a dry line on track. As you can see, a very big part of dry track emerging at that part of the track. So maybe the track could get drier as the session progresses. And, well, if that were to happen, Kurisu, we could actually maybe see a mixed-up session.
That would be interesting.
Very interesting one indeed, as Q-Pot now then making his way towards the left-hander now then, as Chung will be preparing to go out on track. So all 16 cars are now out on track, getting ready to go. As Q-Pot now then just making his way through the right-hander he goes, and then approaching the double left-hander in the AlphaTauri with just over 13 minutes to go. As, of course, he'll get a clear run, of course, because there's nobody else that needs to come out on track, because all 16 cars are now out on the racetrack now then. So Q-Pop making his way towards the final two corners on the racetrack. So through the penultimate corner and then into the final corner will come David Q-Pop in the AlphaTauri now then. He comes around the final corner.
Let's see what he can do.
Onto the pit straight, as he's now going to start the lap, and he'll be the one that will obviously be setting the benchmark time for everybody to beat. So David Q-Pop starts his lap now then, as he now makes his way up towards turn 1 now then on the racetrack. So through to turn 1 goes David Q-Pop in the AlphaTauri, as now making his way towards turn 2 we go, down the hill we go. As now towards the S's goes Q-Pop. So through the left, through the right, and then into the left and double right-hander we will soon go now then. And let's see what the first sector looks like. A 19.470 in that first sector. Flicking it through that left-hander now then we go. Then through into the right and left-hander will go David Q-Pop in the AlphaTauri, as he flicks the car in through the left-hander, using quite a bit of curb on the outside. Down the hill we go before making our way towards the hairpin and onto that dry part of the track, where they'll probably gain quite a bit of time as a result. So out of the hairpin there, goes David Kupok as he now makes his way down the back straight, as now he will now come up towards the semi-hairpin on the racetrack. Quite a lot of run down towards this part of the track now then. As looking at the first sector times, it looks like Roke looks to be the quickest in the first sector with a 19.159. I think that says in the first sector. So that's that. Kupok, a 1 minute 0.791 in the middle sector now. Then Kupok coming towards that double right-hander on the racetrack and now making his way towards the double left-hander in the AlphaTauri. He flicks the car in through that left-hander, using a lot of curb on the outside before making his way towards the quadruple right-hander on the racetrack, as now he will make his way in towards the final two corners. We will go into the penultimate corner and onto the final turn. We will go on the racetrack now then. So David Kupok into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then we will go, as David Kupok now then comes across the line. Let's see what Kupok is going to be able to do. The benchmark time is going to be a 1 minute 39.559. Chatfield goes quickest, but then gets quickly beaten by Roke, who goes quickest by over a second ahead of Chatfield. Chung across the line, she goes into fourth position. Lopez to the top, car goes into fourth. Looks like the two Mercedes may have been holding each other up there. Videri across the line, he's way off, 3 seconds off the pace. De Rosa goes into fifth position. Here comes Joantas Martins now then in the Aston Martin as he comes onto the pit straight. Looks like he's holding up one of the Hasses across the line. Martins goes into last at the moment. Mocho goes fifth. Only as Galloway slots just behind Chung. So not exactly the best first lap there for Jake Galloway. Here comes Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini as he is now going to come across the line, and he does not improve. Oh, well, what am I talking about? He goes just behind Chung there as Quatog goes into third position. So he's still over a second off of Franco Lopez. Meanwhile, Byrne crosses the line, goes into third place himself, goes behind his teammate Rowe. Only I think that says only P12 there for Barges Kloss, and they are the first runs done with there. But Lopez currently at the top of the session at the moment. But yeah, some very interesting first laps there, and not exactly the best first laps for Jake Galloway down in 14th, and Kloss down in 12th position at this stage. So some quite interesting names in the bottom six at this stage.
Yep, an interesting session so far.
That's that really, as now Kupok comes towards the quadruple right-hander on the racetrack now then, as we have just over 9.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Comes towards the penultimate corner on the racetrack, and now Kupok will pull to the pit lane now then, as he's currently 2.1 seconds off the pace of Franco Lopez meanwhile, as now he comes into pit lane now then, as Kupok now then comes into the pits, as now he will be preparing to start a second lap very, very soon. A few cars already back in the pits, as we can see. Martin's only won 4 seconds off. I think most of that was down to the fact that he and Kloss were holding each other up quite a bit in that first lap. And so far, the conditions have not changed too much, although we did notice there was a dry line coming out of that hairpin there. So who knows whether we'll get any more dry lines during this session. We'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, it just looked to be the same for all the drivers running in this session as Kupok comes around that corner. As Yui's pointed out that Sector 3 is actually very, very wet at the moment. Parts of Sector 2 were almost dry, and yeah, Sector 1 was kind of into conditions, it's fair to say. So yeah.
Wonder if that's going to change in the time we have left.
I wonder. It's going to be quite an interesting one indeed, as we have just over 8.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session now then, as he's currently in the top 10 at the moment is David Kupok, as all 16 cars now in the pit lane. Perinin coming up behind one of the Haas cars now in the pit lane, as he's currently in 4th position is Perinin. Teammate Quag in 5th, so looking comfortable at the moment. The two Renaults in the top 10 in 4th and 5th respectively, as Perinin now goes into his box now then. And as Yuri's just pointing out, it's max light rain for second runs, most likely no rain at all, so expecting time improvements is what Yuri is expecting for the remainder of the session now then.
That should be interesting.
Indeed so, as Kupok now then, with just over 8 minutes to go now then in the session. But yeah, that's that, as we wait to see if Kupok's going to go out first or whether somebody will actually beat him to the punch or not. We'll have to wait to see. And somebody does beat him to the punch. It's Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari. David Kupok's former teammate at AlphaTauri, of course, back in 2020. as Chatfield now then, in fact, nearly got a podium for AlphaTauri in 2020 here. Yeah, I think since then he's obviously had some better memories. Of course, winning 4 races for Ferrari last season. Didn't win a race here, though, last season in USA. That was won by Almar Carr last season. But this race was kind of in the middle of his 4 wins out of 5 that he had towards the back end of the season, which helped him get third in the Drivers' Championship in the end, and gave Ferrari a slim shot to win the Constructors in the last race. But it would have...
Safe to say that's not going to happen again this season.
Yeah, because Ferrari have not achieved a victory this season, and Ferrari just seem to be off of the top teams at the moment. And odd to say,
I don't mean to be rude to Ferrari, but they're trash.
But as you can see, there is now a dry line starting to emerge. As you can see, there's a bit more of a dry line starting to emerge because that's come a little bit sooner than what we saw earlier. And yep, there is now a dry line starting to emerge on this racetrack. So I think we're possibly going to get some improvements on this second run.
Very interesting.
As Chatfield now then making his way down towards the semi-hairpin now then on the racetrack, as now through into the left-hander now then. We will go. Still a few cars in the pit lane like Byrne, Perrin and Quark, De Rosa, Kloss, Galloway and Videri at the moment. So Chatfield will be hoping there'll be no traffic by the time he starts his lap. So now Chatfield making his way towards the double left-hander he will go, as now he makes his way towards the quadruple right-hander we go. So through the first part, through the second part, and then into the third and fourth part of the track we will go. As Chatfield now then making his way in towards the final 2 corners we will go. As Chatfield will be starting his lap very, very soon in the Ferrari now then, is now into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then he will go. Just over 6 minutes to go in this session now then. There is still 1 car that needs to come out. In fact 2, Perrin and Kloss. Is there any cars on the left-hand side by the time Chatfield starts his lap? I don't think he is, so Chatfield is going to get a clear run into the first corner now then, where it's still quite wet on the track, as you can see. Down towards turn 2 now then we go, as Chatfield now then will make his way through into the S's, through the left, through the right, and then into the left and right-hander we will go now then, as through the double right-hander we will go, as he's 1/10 down on his personal best in the first sector. But I think in sector 2 he might be able to gain some time, because that's where most of the dry lines are starting to emerge. He's coming up towards that part right now, so coming out of the left-hander, heading down the hill. Here's the dry line right now that's come to him now then, so he might be able to gain a little bit with this dry line. We'll have to wait and see as he makes his way through into the hairpin now then, coming out of the turn, making his way down this back straight. A little bit more of a dry line here, but then we go back onto the wet part, right onto the middle of it. So whether that gains in some time or not, we'll have to wait and see when we get to the end of the second sector now then. Chatfield heading towards the semi-hairpin on the racetrack. Through into the left-hander we go, into the middle sector now then, and he's still down on his personal best, but he has gained a bit on his personal best on his first sector time though, so he has been able to gain a little bit, but he's still down on his personal best as we speak now then. So Chatfield making his way into the left-hander now then he goes, as he will now make his way towards the quadruple right-hander now then, flicking the car in through the section of corners now then we go, as now heading through into these corners, now into the final couple of corners goes Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari now. They're making his way into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then we will go, as now onto the pit straight goes Chris Chatfield, and across the line he will still go now then, as Chatfield will make his way across the line. Can he improve? He does find some time and he gets into 5th position. So Carr up on his personal best. Meanwhile, in the Mercedes, is he going to be able to try and top Lopez at the top of the standings? Carr is currently down in 7th place at the moment. So let's see what the Mercedes driver can do. Oh my God, he's got to get a flag at the penultimate corner there. We'll have to wait because Carr across the line goes into 4th position. It was for David Kupak. He's had a moment coming around the double into the penultimate corner. Was it to do with Loa Chung? Let's see. Or was it a driver error? And the answer to that was a driver error.
Oh my goodness.
Very big driver error there. Looked like maybe an aquaplane moment there for David Kupak, but that's his lap ruined as a result. And, well, he was in 10th place, adjusting the course as Laura Chung now then comes across the line. No improvement for her. She stays in the drop zone down in 11th position. Kupak's obviously not going to improve because he obviously made that mistake going into the penultimate corner there. So Kupak across the line he goes. No improvement, stays where he is. Franco Lopez comes out of the final turn onto the pit straight. He will go as the Mercedes driver now then comes across the line. Looks like he's not going to improve and he's going to stay on the 1 minute 37.4. Martin's up on his personal best. He improves and Roke doesn't. So Roke stays in second, but Martin's only into 13th. That might be him done because we've only got 3.5 minutes to go in this session. Patel still in 12th place. Macho goes up to second place, a big improvement for him. So both Lamborghinis currently in the drop zone. Byrne doesn't improve, he stays in 4th. Quarg improves to go into 6th position. Videri now then up on his personal best, currently in the drop zone down in 16th. What can he do with this lap now then? Andre Videri across the line, he will go, and he goes into 11th place, just misses out on the top 10 as De Rosa, I think, might have had a moment coming out the final corner there as he's up on his personal best. De Rosa across the line, is he still able to improve regardless? No, he hasn't. So I think that mistake might have cost him there, and he's still in 9th place. So he's still in the top 10 at the moment, is De Rosa. Can he make it through into Q3? We shall see. Galloway, who's currently in the drop zone, across the line, he will go. He goes up into 8th position, puts his Q-Pot now into the drop zone, and he might be out thanks to that mistake he made coming into the penultimate corner. Perinin now then out of the final turn, currently in 7th place as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and Perinin now then across the line he will go. He does not improve and stays where he is. Klaus improves to go up to 10, pushes De Rosa into the drop zone as a result of that. So it looks like De Rosa is going to be out of qualifying as well. And in fact, there is more dry lines emerging, I think, from looking at where De Rosa was on the track. So I think there are more coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what the conditions are going to be like for Q number 3, of course. But I think that's going to be that. We'll obviously wait and see, of course, when we get by the 1 minute 37 mark to make sure that that is everybody done with, of course. But yeah. It looks like at the moment, De Rosa, Q-Pot, Videri, Chung, Patel and Martins are going to be out. So both Lamborghinis are going to be out of qualifying as things stand at this stage. As looks like that's Q-Pot who obviously made the mistake. He's probably going to be kicking himself that he made that mistake. But he was still down on his personal best anyway. I wonder if that was because he was getting held up by Laura Chung there or not. I'm not sure. But with just under 2 minutes to go in this session now. Then 55, 54, 53 now then, 52, 51 and 50 as 49, 48 now then we are on as Q-Pot gets pushed back into the garage now then. As now he gets pushed back into the garage, of course, and a very interesting little cinematic that goes on with this track. 37, there we go. So that will be everybody done with. So as a result, De Rosa, Q-Pot, Videri, Chung, Patel, and Martins have all been eliminated into Q2 there. Kloss just getting into Q3 by the skin of his teeth there.
Yep, that was a close shave.
Very close shave indeed, but it does mean that both Hasses are through into Q number 3 for their home race, which is very, very good indeed. And, well, as that's pretty much that, really, as Kloss now then making his way into pit lane now, then we go. As now he comes into pit, so he's made it through into Q3, and we're interested to see what he and Macho can do. Macho, of course, shout out to him in this session, getting up into 2nd place in that Haas, 1/10 off of Franco Lopez in the end. So he did a very good job in those changeable conditions to find some grip and get up into 2nd place. A good effort. We'll have to wait and see what he can do in Q3 as well, and of course with Kloss as well, if he's able to turn up the wick in Q3 as well. We'll just wait for the seconds to tick down to 0 before we get back onto the menu screen, of course. But yeah, that's...
They put dries on.
Yeah, so it looks like some will get some running on the dries before the session comes to a close. So maybe something to keep an eye on for Q3 as they're all coming out on dry tyres, it seems. Well, the ones that will be getting some mileage, really, that is, for the remaining seconds of this session. But very interesting indeed. Could be something to keep an eye on, perhaps, when we get into Q3. Because I did notice there were more dry lines starting to emerge when De Rosa finished off his lap. So that could be very, very... Yeah, indeed. But we'll have to wait and see if that's still going to be the case when we get into Q3, of course. But 10, 9, and now we have 8, 7, and now 6, 5, and then 4, 3, and now 2, 1, and 0. Checkered flag is out. That's the end of the session. Lopez top, Macho second, and Rokin third. And your bottom 6, as a reminder, who have been eliminated in Q2 are Kirishima De Rosa, David Q-Park, Andre Videri, Laura Chong, Rahul Patel, and Joantas Martin. So we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment whilst Yuri gets everything prepared for Q3. But in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who will take pole position for tomorrow's United States Grand Prix. But in the meantime, I'm going to mute myself to get the tweet prepared for Twitter, so apologies if I go silent for a little bit.
Meanwhile, I am going to predict Rogue for pole. So that's my prediction. You still there, Yuri? Okay.
Yeah, I'm back, and
Welcome back.
Now up on Twitter. So yeah, that is obviously could be up for a very interesting Q3, of course, because we did see obviously towards the end of Q2 that the conditions were starting to get a little bit more drier on the racetrack, and whether or not that will be something to keep an eye on for Q3, we'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting to see what the conditions are going to be like though for the third part of qualifying. But yeah, that's going to be quite an interesting one indeed, as we wait now for the third session to get underway. I'll obviously give my prediction on who will be on pole as soon as we get onto the loading screen, of course. So bear in mind of that as we wait now to get the third session underway, of course. Obviously, the Mercedeses have so far topped every session. Whether that's going to be the case in Q number 3, though, we'll have to wait and see. And of course, as a reminder as well, whilst we are waiting for Q3 to get underway, of course, we obviously have the World Champ Car race after this as well over at Yohognam. So do be
Of course,
aware
we'll have a different commentator for that one. So it should be interesting.
Indeed. So it should be an interesting race, of course, especially given that Gable Gomez, in fact, the two Andretti's will be desperate to try and improve, especially if we've got the two Pyramids on the front row of the grid. Wolf in front of Thomas Anderson, as both of them are desperate to try and get their first victory of the season. Whether they will or not remains to be seen, because they will have two very hungry Penske's right behind them in Julius Anderson and Zachary Fitzwater. But anyway, about to get underway for the third part of qualifying, and it is still light rain, but as you can see with the water filter on the left hand side, it looks like we're going to have a dry track, it seems, with light rain. So whether it will wetten up or not remains to be seen. So maybe it could be a one lap thing that we're looking at here.
Interesting.
But without any further ado, let's get the final part of qualifying underway here at Austin, Texas. And in terms of who I think will get pole position, I'm going to go safe and say Franco Lopez will get pole position. That's my bet, because the Mercedes have been looking quick in all the sessions. So I'm going to say Lopez will get pole. But you never know, of course. The Red Bulls might be turning something up, but we'll have to wait and see.
Red Bull could be cooking.
Could be. We'll have to wait and see on that one, as Patel gets ready, as obviously just watching on, of course, because both Lamborghinis obviously got eliminated in the second part of qualifying, so he's just probably just watching on as a spectator, really, as the session gets underway. Everybody on the dry tyres, which, as a reminder, we are using the red soft tyres here at Austin, Texas. So we're interested to see if it's a dry race tomorrow, what sort of strategy everybody's going with, including maybe in the wet conditions as well, because the wear rate also applies to the wet tyres as well. So just thought I'd mention that as as we wait to see who's going to be first to go out onto the racetrack. Will it be a Haas or will it be somebody else that will go out on track first of all? As it looks like it's going to be a Renault that goes on track, and that's be Hayes Perrin. And as you can see on his camera, there is rain in the air, so we'll have to keep an eye on whether they'll end up being dots on the track or not. So that will be something to bear in mind. And let's read everybody's prediction on who you believe will take pole position, of course, as I scroll up to there. So, yeah, so in terms of predictions, Chris has said Lopez will take pole. Hyan has said that, as my thing there decided to go a little bit, Hyan has said that he's going bold and saying Michael Mocha will get pole position. Jafari has said that Evan Byrne will get pole position. And as Ra has said, George Roke will get pole. And Dennis has said that Evan Byrne will get pole position. So they are the predictions.
A lot of predictions.
A lot of predictions for Q number 3 as Perrin now they're making his way down towards the hairpin now, then using quite a lot of curb on the inside line as he now makes his way down this back straight now, then heading towards the semi-hairpin on the racetrack. We will go as we're obviously still going to be keeping an eye on the track to see if there are any dots about on the racetrack, as now Perrin heading his way down towards the semi-hairpin, now approaching the double right-hander. We will soon approach now then, so through the first part and then into the second part of the racetrack now, then we will go before approaching the double left-hander now then, so through the left-hander we go, and now Perrin will approach the quadruple right-hander as he'll be the one starting the lap first. Luckily all 10 cars are now out on racetrack, so he should have a clean run unless he makes a mistake, of course. So anyway, Perrin now they're making his way as there is dots into the final corner, as you can see there. So very, very interesting indeed that there are dots in that final sector. So that could be something to keep an eye on, especially when Perrin finishes his lap now then. But Perrin going to start his lap now then as he crosses the line to start it, as he now makes his way up towards the first corner. There is dots into turn 1 now then, as now through into the first corner. As now through into turn 2 he goes, as there's more dots appearing, but now we're into a drier part of the racetrack, through into the S, through the left, through the right, then through the left and double right. Let's see what Perrin's first sector looks like. An 18.059 in that first sector, as there's dots now starting to appear all over the track as the conditions are starting to get worse again on the racetrack. So this could be a one lap and done here. So we'll have to wait and see how everybody else does, as nobody's approached the first sector yet except for Perrin until now, because Roke's done a 17.820 in the first sector, so he's 2 tenths quicker than Perrin in sector 1, as now Perrin comes down the back straight on the racetrack now then, as he'll be climbing up the speedo, as you can see on the left hand side. Dots now starting to appear on the back straight now then, as we've got an 18.228 for Chatfield, so he's slower than Perrin in the first sector. Let's see what Perrin's second sector is going to look like. A 56.521 for the Spaniard in sector 2. Through into the double right-hander now then we will go, as now Perrin making his way into the double left-hander on the racetrack, using all the curb on the inside, using quite a lot of it on the outside as well, heading towards the quadruple right-hander. More dots starting to appear on the racetrack now then, as now we come up towards the final 2 corners where we first saw the dots on the racetrack now then. So through the penultimate corner into the final turn we will go, as the track's got a little bit more darker now into that final corner compared to when we last saw it with Jesus Perrin. Down the pit straight we go. Jesus Perrin across the line he goes. What is the benchmark of time going to be? And he's going to be a 1:31.560 for Jesus Perrin. What about George Roke in the Red Bull? He comes around the final corner. The track getting a little bit more darker around that final corner. Roke onto the pit straight. Across the line he will go. Will he go to the top of the timing screens? Across the line he goes, and he goes 9 tenths quicker and goes to the top of the timing screens. Chris Chatfield now then in the Ferrari. He now makes his way into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then we will go, as the track continues to get a little bit more darker. It looks like he's going to be slower than both Roke and Perrin here, but Chatfield across the line he goes, and he's 1.9 seconds off in third. Roman Quarg across the line he will go in the Renault. He makes his way across the line. Where's he going to place himself? He goes into third place. Klaus goes into third himself. Oh, Galloway goes into third place. There comes Amar Carr in the Mercedes. Across the line he will go, and he goes into 4th position behind Galloway. Lopez goes to second, gets himself in front of
Byrne?
Is off, but Evan Byrne looks to be off. It looks like he's been caught up with the conditions, and he goes 3.1 seconds off. The conditions may be getting a little bit worse for Evan Byrne, it seems, as they were getting worse continuously, unless he has made a mistake. No, he was getting held up by the Haas here of, I think this is, there's damage for Michael Mocho there. So he looks like he's got damage on that front wing. So he looks like he's made a mistake coming around this part of the track here.
This is a similar mistake to what we've seen the Alfa Romeos do last year.
Indeed, and you can see it was the curve that caught him there, and that might put Mocho in a bit of a predicament, considering that the conditions are getting worse. Byrne got held up as a result, and he is not going to be happy about that when he comes in ninth.
Safe to say, Hyun has completely jinxed Mocho.
Mocho has to come in for a new front wing. He has no other choice, but there the first lap's done, and with the conditions getting worse, unless they do dramatically improve as the session progresses, Roke finds himself 7 tenths clear of Lopez.
Yep.
And, well, we'll have to wait and see if they are going to get worse. But for Mocho, a complete disaster for him without a front wing at that point in time. And, well, that's pretty much that, really. So we'll have to wait and see what happens later on then. As Perrin and Mocho are both in the pit lane. Mocho looks like he's obviously going to have his front wing changed, of course, in the meantime. So he will be going out, I think, a lot earlier than all of these guys that have just come into the pit. So, yeah, that's going to be that for Mocho. His session practically ruined as a result of that. Burn, whilst he could maybe find an improvement, as in fact, it looks like it might be stopping. It might have stopped raining now, from the looks of it, because there's no rain coming off the
unlikely.
There is no rain coming off of Burn, so he might be able to find some improvement, but it won't be enough to overhaul Chatfield, I don't think.
Probably not.
Mocho has actually gone to the intermediate tyres, as you can see, on his car, so I don't know if everybody else...
Yeah, he's given up on this session.
Yep, so Mocho just basically trying to get some running here as a result of that mistake he made coming around that left-hander on the racetrack. So, yeah, so Mocho really, we talked about how much he's under pressure, of course, and making mistakes like that is not going to help. His teammate Klaus is in 6th position, as we will now wait to see what everybody else is going to be doing now. Then Mocho now just coming back out onto the track, as Klaus now gets wheeled back into the garage, but obviously Mocho is going to be going out. You'll see him on the right-hand side. There he goes. As, in fact, there is spray in the pit lane, as you can see. So that explains why he's on the inters. There is now spray in the pit lane now then, as Mocho now then comes out onto the racetrack. And really, this is just to get some kind of lap time on the board.
Yep, pretty much.
As now Mocho making his way out of the hairpin now then, before he makes his way down towards turn number 2 on the racetrack. As Mocho now then, there is still a dry part of the track, but obviously there is now spray appearing on the car, so that's not going to help Burn if he wants to improve on his time, despite the fact that he of course got held up by Michael Mocho after Mocho of course made the mistake coming up to the corner when Mocho is approaching now, which led to him losing that front wing. So yeah, that's that Mocho just coming out of that left-hander now, then heading down towards the hairpin he will go on the racetrack. So yeah, that's that, and now heading into the hairpin he goes, as Mocho now then using quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the semi hairpin. He'll soon approach very, very soon on the racetrack, as the spray continues to come out the back of his car, as more spray appears on that back straight, as Perrin has decided to go out on track. I think he'll also be on the inters, same with Chris Chatfield as well, and Armar come out onto the track, bless you, as now coming towards the double right-hander we will go. As now heading towards that left-hander goes Michael Mocho in the Haas, as he will now make his way towards the quadruple right-hander, as 4 cars are still yet to go out there to possibly just get some wet running now then on that racetrack. As now into the penultimate corner goes Michael Mocho there, as Lopez goes out, Burn about to go out, but I wonder if Mocho is actually going to get caught up in some traffic here or not. Let's see as he comes onto the pit straight to start what I think will probably be his final lap, if we're being totally honest, but we'll have to wait and see. He starts his lap now then, as he makes his way up towards the first corner on the racetrack, and it looks like he's going to be clear of traffic, but as mentioned, this is only really to try and get a lap time on the board after now the conditions have got worse, and after he made that mistake on his first flying lap. So Mocho now then through the left, right, and then into the left and right-hander he will now go through the double right-hander.
What position he will be.
Yep, indeed, it looks like he's going to be in P10, of course, as unless some kind of miracle happens, which I highly doubt. He's 1 second off of Roke in the first sector as a direct result of that. Mocho just coming through that left-hander. He goes as the conditions have now gotten a little bit worse on the racetrack. Mocho going around the hairpin now, then he goes, making his way down the back straight now, then he will go, as now making his way down towards the semi-hairpin he will soon approach, as now heading his way into that semi-hairpin he'll soon go. Let's see what his middle sector looks like anyway, compared to the dry conditions that Roke had in the middle sector, as he is 3.4 seconds down, so yep, that confirms he will be in 10th anyway, because Burn is overall 3.1 seconds off the pace, as Mocho now then just making his way through the double left-hander, as my Discord has frozen once again there. GP4 had a freeze frame. I thought that was me there, because that's how Discord normally responds. But yeah, that's that as Mocho now then just making his way into the final couple of the corners. We will go on the racetrack there then. As now through the final turn and onto the pit straight will go Michael Mocho in the Haas now then, as he will now make his way down the pit straight and across the line. He will go, and he does a 1 minute 36.361 to put him obviously in 10th position. Perinen is also on these intermediate tyres, and we'll see what sort of lap time he can do, because he's not going to be able to improve as a result, but it looks like he's going to be starting in 3rd place regardless as a result of this now. Then Perinen making his way towards the double left-hander. He goes now, then making his way out of the turn, and now making his way towards the quadruple right-hander. He will go, so through this part of the track, he will go on the racetrack, as now heading into the final couple of the corners. He's got the Ferrari behind, well, one of the Ferraris behind, not sure which one it is, because both Galloway and Chatfield I think it's Chatfield, judging from the white helmet that's in the cockpit there. So Jesus Perinen now, they're making his way onto the pit straight, and Perinen now that he's going to cross the line, and he does not improve as expected, as 137 there for Chris Chatfield in the end. So that's obviously something to bear in mind when people come out onto the track to maybe do one more run on these wet tyres. Amar Khan now then comes across the line in the Mercedes, and he does not, and he does a 1 minute 38, I think that's it, 1 minute 37 for George Rote, the pole sitter. Here comes Bartosz Kloss in the Haas now then, as he comes onto the pit straight now then, and Bartosz Kloss is now going to cross the line now then in the Haas, and he does a 1 minute 38.9. Jake Galloway across the line, he will go in the Ferrari, as he will now make his way across the line, and he does a 137.1. Roman Quarg making his way onto the pit straight and across the line now then. He will go, as he does a 1 minute 36.9 there. As Lopez, let's see what lap time he can do then on the intermediate tyres as he makes his way out of the final corner and onto the pit straight now then. He will go, as Franco Lopez now then is going to cross the line in the Mercedes, and he does a 1 minute 37.3 as a result of that. But yeah, that's that as he makes his way through into the first corner. Somebody else is about to cross the line soon now then, but that was Evan Byrne that just crossed the line, and as expected, no improvement as a result. 137 for him after that. But is that going to be the end of the session, or are we going to get one more wet running before the qualifying session comes to a close? But really, I think it's safe to assume, unless the weather dramatically changes, which I highly doubt, George Rote is going to get pole position here at Austin.
Yep, just like I predicted.
Indeed, and although it's fair to say it will probably be a little bit more anticlimactic, if we're being totally honest there. But Michael Mocho is in the garage now then, as we'll wait to see if anybody else comes out onto the racetrack or not, as Perinen now then in the pit lane for Renault, as we have 2.5 minutes to go in this session. We might get one more wet running, but they'll need to be out before the 1 minute 37 mark, otherwise they won't have a chance to do any more wet running. They'll just have a mileage run as a direct result of that, as Perinen now just gets wheeled back into the garage now then in the Renault, as he finds himself in 3rd position, so looking at a very good grid spot there, just ahead of Jake Galloway, so pretty close between those two in 3rd and 4th position there. Kloss now back in the pit lane at this time, with just 2 minutes to go now in the session. So we now to count down towards 1 minute 37 to see if anybody does go out onto the racetrack or not, as 50 seconds we're now on, as Kloss now gets wheeled back to the garage in the Haas now then, as we now wait to see if anybody else goes out on track or not. 40, 39, 38, 37. The answer to that is no, so that will be that then. And George Roke officially, I mean he already was, but now we can officially say it, George Roke is now on pole position for tomorrow's United States Grand Prix by 7 tenths ahead of Franco Lopez, and that first lap really counting in the end as anticipated, Carisso.
Carisso always gets her predictions right, except for the times she's wrong.
Indeed, as well, looks like they're going to get some mileage, but it won't be enough to start another lap. But George Roke is on pole position, and of course we will check out his lap once the section ticks down to 0, of course, and the checkered flag comes out. So Roke now then making his way out on the racetrack now then in the Red Bull, as he now trundles his way down pit lane. And so that's pretty much that really in the Red Bull, as Roke now then will be coming out of the pit lane, as he will be starting his lap very, very well, just doing some mileage. There is a car in front of him as well, but it's not going to matter too much, that being Michael Mocho, because the session is of course over. Nobody can be able to start a lap, and of course it was already over anyway earlier on because of these conditions that were changing, of course, because we did have dry running in the first lap, despite the fact that there were a few dots on the racetrack, which made the conditions worse every time the drivers went around, of course. So really, if you were near the front, you'd have some kind of advantage. And, well, Roke did take advantage. He was the second person to cross the line after Hayes' Perinin. Lopez, the only one really to get in front of Perinin after that, being one of the later cars. But not able to ensure that Mercedes were able to completely dominate all of the sessions, really. They topped every session apart from this one, and it had to be when the changeable conditions came that stopped them from topping Q3 in the end. So the checker flag is now coming out, as we're now going to take a look at how George Roke got pole position for the US Grand Prix. Yep. So enjoy it.
Time to mute.
And that is how George Roke took pole position for the United States Grand Prix. Obviously a bit of luck indeed because of the changeable conditions, but he was there to capitalise in the end, and of course he was there to take the pole position. Another pole position for George Roke. Can he possibly get his second victory of the season though? That will be very interesting to see. But anyway, here is your top 10.
So.
We shall see. But here is your top 10 then. George Roke is on pole position with Franco Lopez, the championship leader, in second. Hayes Perinin will start in third, with Jake Galloway in fourth. Amar Carr will start in fifth, with Bartris Clot in sixth. Roman Quaggas in seventh, with Chris Chatfield in eighth. Evan Byrne, after getting held up by Michael Mocho, will start in ninth, with Michael Mocho, thanks to that mistake and only setting a time in the wet conditions, will start in 10th position, 5.7 seconds off the pace. Yep. So really a very, very entertaining qualifying session overall, and hopefully we'll be in for an entertaining race tomorrow.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Yep, indeed, but we'll have to wait and see if the race is any good or not. But there you have it then. That has been it for the qualifying session here at COTA. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very, very entertaining session with the conditions. And hopefully tomorrow we should be in for a good race. We're not done with live streams though, because coming up in, obviously after this as well, but probably around 6:15, depending on how quickly we get things sorted out, we will have the World Champ Car race over at Yehognam, which of course sees Adam Wolf on pole position. So it'll be a very interesting race indeed. So stick around for that. But if you're not, thank you very much for watching. I have been JW97, she's been Kurisu, and we will see you guys tomorrow. If you're not watching the World Champ Car race, we will see you tomorrow at 5 PM BST for the 56th lap United States Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Goodbye.